I ease my brand new metallic gray Subaru Crosstrek into my parents' driveway, savoring the gentle purr of the engine beneath my fingertips. $36,000. Paid in full. No loans, no debt. Just 4 years of relentless sacrifice finally manifesting in this gleaming testament to my discipline. We did it, I whisper, running my hand across the smooth leather steering wheel. The scent of new car still hangs in the air, a fragrance more satisfying than any designer perfume could ever be. My moment of pride shatters when I spot Lydia's faded Corolla parked crookedly, blocking half the driveway. I have to maneuver awkwardly to squeeze past it, nearly scraping my pristine paint against the low stone wall lining Dad's immaculate lawn. Typical Lydia taking up more space than necessary with no thought for anyone else. Inside, the scene is painfully familiar. Mom arranging a casserole on the dining table, Dad pouring iced tea, and Lydia sprawled in her usual chair, scrolling through her phone. They all look up when I enter. There she is, Dad says, nodding toward the window. Saw your new ride pulling in. It's nice, Mom offers with a thin smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Sensible. The word hangs in the air like an accusation. Sensible Blair, reliable Blair, boring Blair. It's gorgeous. I correct her, refusing to let her diminish this victory. 0 miles when I drove it off the lot this morning. Lydia finally glances up, her eyes sharp with interest. I recognize all too well. A Crosstrek, huh? Those have that new touchscreen system, right? I nod, setting my keys on the counter, a rookie mistake I'll soon regret. Mind if I take it for a spin? She asks, her tone deliberately casual, as if she's asking to borrow a sweater rather than a $36,000 investment. Just around the block. No. The word comes out firmer than I intended, but I don't soften it. You're not on my insurance, and I don't give you permission. Her expression hardens. You're always so uptight. I'll drive it eventually, you know me. The threat lies naked between us, but Mom intervenes before I can respond. Let's eat before everything gets cold, she urges, already sliding into peacemaker mode. As we settle around the table, my mind drifts to the 4 years of sacrifice that led to this day. 4 years of declining happy hours, while my coworkers built memories without me. 4 years of sharing an apartment with 3 strangers who left dirty dishes in the sink and played music until 3 a.m. 4 years of cooking every single meal at home, of freelancing on weekends when I should have been resting, of tracking every dollar in a spreadsheet that became my nightly ritual. All while Lydia bounced between jobs, apartments, and relationships, leaving a trail of unpaid loans and borrowed items never returned in her wake. Yet somehow, I was always the unreasonable one when I finally said enough. So, how's the new place? Dad asks, passing the breadbasket. All settled in? Getting there, I reply, grateful for the change of subject. Still need to hang some pictures. You should hire someone, Lydia suggests, spearing a potato. You'll probably put a million holes in the wall trying to do it yourself. I swallow my retort with a mouthful of chicken that suddenly tastes like sawdust. Same old pattern. Lydia needles. I absorb. Peace prevails. But today something feels different. Maybe it's the car sitting in the driveway, tangible proof that standing my ground yields results. I'll manage. I say simply. Excuse me for a second. Need to grab my jacket from upstairs. It's chilly in here. The dining room feels miles away as I climb the familiar stairs, running my hand along the banister worn smooth from decades of family traffic. I linger in my old bedroom, now converted to Dad's home office, allowing nostalgia to wash over me briefly before heading back down. I'm halfway to my seat when I notice the empty space on the counter where my keys had been. Where are my keys? I ask, my voice unnaturally calm despite the alarm bells clanging in my head. Mom's expression tells me everything before she speaks. Lydia just wanted to feel what it's like. She'll be careful. I explicitly said no. My hands clench at my sides. Where did she go? Mom and Dad exchange a look I've seen 1,000 times, the silent communication of parents united against an unreasonable child. She just went around the block, Dad says, his tone suggesting I'm overreacting. She'll be right back. I pull out my phone and dial Lydia's number, already knowing what I'll hear. The call goes straight to voicemail. My stomach churns with a sickening cocktail of violation and fury that feels strangely unfamiliar and long overdue. For the first time in my life, I understand with crystal clarity that this isn't about a car. It's about 30 years of boundaries crossed, promises broken, and respect denied. It's about a family system built on my compliance. And for the first time, I'm done complying. My phone vibrates against the dining room table, an unknown number lighting up the screen. My parents fall silent mid-argument, their eyes fixed on my hand as it hovers over the device. Hello? I answer, turning away from their scrutiny. Miss Mendoza? This is Officer Grant Cooper with Jefferson County Police. His voice carries the practiced neutrality of someone delivering bad news daily. Your vehicle has been in an accident. The driver is uninjured. My stomach plummets to my feet. Where? He gives an address just 3 miles away, a busy intersection near the mall, where Lydia probably intended to show off my car to her friends. I grab my purse without a word to my parents and storm out the door, ordering a rideshare with trembling fingers. When I arrive, the scene punches the air from my lungs. My beautiful Crosstrek, the culmination of 4 years of sacrifice, sits mangled against a concrete barrier. The front end crumples like discarded gift wrap, airbags deflated and hanging limply from the dashboard. The metallic gray paint, which gleamed so proudly this morning, now dulled beneath a layer of dust and debris. But what boils my blood isn't the wreckage. It's Lydia, leaning against a police cruiser, giggling with a young officer as she positions her phone for a selfie, the destroyed car framed perfectly in the background. Officer Cooper approaches, tablet in hand. Miss Mendoza? I'm Officer Cooper. We spoke on the phone. That's my car, I say, voice surprisingly steady despite the rage coursing through me. And that's my sister who took it without permission. He nods, swiping his screen before turning it toward me. She's already posted this online. I stare at Lydia's Instagram post, a pouty-faced selfie beside my crumpled car with the caption, "Oops, big sis will forgive me. New car problems. Sorry, not sorry." The timestamp, 4 minutes ago. The insurance adjuster made a preliminary assessment. Officer Cooper continues. Estimated damage is $41,600. Given the vehicle's age and the extent of damage, it's likely a total loss. The figure hangs in the air, $5,600 more than I paid this morning. My hands clench into fists as he confirms what I already know. She admitted she took the vehicle without permission. That's unauthorized use under Colorado law. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Don't make this into a family crisis. It's just a car. By their definitely definite mare car. Just a car. Just 4 years of declined invitations. Just countless nights of freelance work after 8-hour days. Just eating ramen while my colleagues dined at restaurants. Just a car that represented my freedom from exactly this kind of disrespect. A man in a crisp blue suit approaches, extending his hand. Miss Mendoza? Calvin Brooks? From your insurance company. Could we speak privately for a moment? He guides me a few steps away, his voice lowered. This looks like unauthorized use based on the police report. In cases like this, we can pursue the at-fault driver directly, rather than processing this through your policy. Meaning? Meaning your rates won't increase, you won't pay a deductible, and your sister becomes financially responsible for the damage. His eyes meet mine. But you need to be clear that she didn't have permission. Before I can respond, an elderly woman approaches Mrs. Winters from 3 houses down from my parents. Blair? I recognize the car from the Neighborhood Alerts app. Her eyes dart to Lydia, then back to me. I was watering my hostas when she left. I saw her take your keys from the counter. I heard you say no. I thank her, surprised by this unexpected alliance, just as my phone rings Rachel from work. Blair? I just saw Lydia's post. Are you okay? My brother's a lawyer who handles insurance cases. Let me know if you need advice. My parents' SUV screeches into the emergency lane, parking haphazardly. They rush past me straight to Lydia, Mom enveloping her in a protective hug while Dad demands answers from the nearest officer. After a hurried conversation, Dad strides over, his face flushed. We need to talk, he says, pulling me aside with a firm grip on my elbow. His voice drops to a harsh whisper. You need to tell the police she had permission to drive. I wrench my arm free. That would be lying. Don't be ridiculous. If you pursue this, her insurance rates will skyrocket. She could lose her job if they do a credit check and see this judgment. Mom appears at his side, her eyes narrowed. If you pursue this, you'll destroy your sister's future, she hisses. Is that what you want? Over a car? Over my shoulder, I catch Lydia watching our conversation, the faintest smirk playing at the corners of her mouth when our parents turn away. She mouths words I can read perfectly. They'll make you forgive me. Just like always. Just like every borrowed never returned sweater. Every emergency loan, every crashed laptop, every promise broken. The pattern stretching back through childhood, through adolescence, through adulthood. Officer Cooper approaches with his tablet. Miss Mendoza, I need to confirm for the report, did your sister have permission to drive your vehicle today? My parents' eyes burn into me, their expectations clear. The weight of 30 years presses on my shoulders, 30 years of keeping peace, of being reasonable, of putting Lydia's needs before my own. I straighten my spine. No, I say clearly. She did not have permission to drive my vehicle. She took my keys after I explicitly told her no. The officer nods, tapping his screen. I'm noting that in the report. You should know this will affect how your insurance processes the claim, and may result in your sister being personally liable for damages. My parents' faces transform from pressure to shock, as if they've never truly seen me before. Perhaps they haven't. As the tow truck loads what remains of my car, I climb into the passenger seat beside the driver. Alone, but feeling strangely lighter than I have in years. The tow truck pulls away from the curb, leaving my family standing in the growing dusk, their silhouettes shrinking in the side mirror as we drive away. The next day at work, my phone won't stop buzzing. I set it face down on the kitchen counter, but the notifications keep coming, the vibrations traveling through the granite like an electric current. Family group text. 27 new messages in the last hour. I flip it over. Mom's latest text glows at the top. Family meeting tonight. Mandatory. Below it, a parade of relatives weighing in. Aunt Patricia, your sister made a mistake. That's what insurance is for. Uncle Robert. In my day, siblings stood by each other. Cousin Jennifer. Blood is thicker than water, Blair. I turn the phone back over. The buzzing continues against the counter. My coffee has gone cold, but I drink it anyway, savoring the bitter taste. It matches my mood perfectly. The landline rings, startling me. Almost nobody has that number. I let it go to voicemail, then hear the beep and a familiar voice. Blair, it's Martha from reception. Your father called saying, there's a family emergency and you need to leave immediately. I told him you were in a client meeting. He sounded intense. Call me back. I grip the mug tighter. The family emergency tactic. Classic. My father knows exactly which buttons to push, which systems to manipulate. I pick up the phone and dial the office. Martha, I'm fine. No emergency. If he calls again, please don't put him through. Is everything okay? Martha's voice carries genuine concern. Just family drama. Thanks for checking. After hanging up, I notice an email notification. Subject line. Prayer request for Blair. My mother has told her entire church prayer group I'm having a spiritual crisis. The message describes how I've hardened my heart against family, and requests prayers for my return to Christian forgiveness. The anger builds in my chest, hot and electric. They're mobilizing every resource, pulling every lever in the family machine, the same machine that's crushed me into compliance for 30 years. But this time, something feels different. The machine is working against a new version of me, a version they haven't encountered before. I grab the keys of the rented car and head out the door. The insurance office sits in a small strip mall between a dry cleaner and a sandwich shop. Calvin Brooks greets me with a handshake and ushers me into his cramped office. Diplomas and family photos compete for wall space with insurance company awards. Miss Mendoza, I appreciate you coming in. I've prepared the paperwork regarding the claim. Call me Blair, I say, settling into the chair across from him. And I appreciate your thoroughness. My family is applying pressure. Calvin nods knowingly. He slides a folder across his desk. These are the no permissive use forms. Signing these confirms that your sister did not have permission to drive your vehicle. I flip through the pages, scanning carefully. And this? Calvin continues, pulling out another form, is a request for subrogation against the at-fault driver. In this case, your sister. My hand hovers over the paper. The pen feels heavier than it should. Most people cave to family pressure, Calvin says quietly. Especially with siblings. I've seen it dozens of times. I look up at him. Not this time. I sign my name on each line with deliberate strokes. Each signature feels like breaking a chain that's bound me since childhood. As Calvin copies the documents, I pull out my phone and open a new folder in my cloud storage. I take photos of each form, adding them to a growing collection. The police report, the damage estimates, screenshots of Lydia's social media posts about the crash, documentation, evidence. Protection against the gaslighting I know is coming. Calvin hands me the copies. The insurance company will handle it from here. Just be prepared. Family doesn't always react well when you stop playing by their rules. The warning proves prophetic when I arrive at my parents' house that evening. Mom has set the dining room table with the good china and crystal glasses we only use at Thanksgiving and Christmas. A roast chicken sits center stage, surrounded by perfectly arranged vegetables. Candles flicker, casting a warm glow that doesn't match the cold reception in my stomach. Dad pours wine without asking if I want any. Mom brings out Lydia's favorite cherry pie. They're pretending this is a celebration, not an ambush. Lydia arrives last, eyes downcast in practiced contrition. Her appearance is carefully disheveled, just enough to suggest suffering without looking truly distressed. Now that we're all here, Mom says, raising her glass, to family forgiveness. Dad and Lydia raise their glasses. I leave mine on the table. Lydia clears her throat. Blair, I'm sorry you're so upset about the car. I know it meant a lot to you. The non-apology hangs in the air. Not, I'm sorry I took something without permission. Not, I'm sorry I destroyed your property. But I'm sorry you're upset. I reach into my purse and pull out a manila envelope I prepared earlier, sliding it across the table toward Lydia. I watch as confusion crosses her face. What's this? She asks, not touching it. Open it. She does, pulling out the stack of papers inside. The police report, the damage estimate showing $41,600, the subrogation notice from my insurance company. Dad snatches the papers from her hands, scanning them with increasing alarm. His face darkens as he reaches the final page. What have you done? His voice starts low but rises with each word. I stand up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. What I should have done years ago held Lydia accountable. You've officially filed against your sister? Your own blood? Mom's voice quivers between outrage and disbelief. The insurance company is pursuing her for the damages. This isn't about family feelings anymore. It's about legal responsibility. We raised you better than this. Dad slams his hand on the table, making the silverware jump. Family protects family. That protection only ever went one way. My voice remains steady, surprising even me. Lydia takes. I give. That ends now. I guessed a ditty and I'll end. Lydia begins to cry, but I notice how her eyes remain dry. The tears never quite materialize, though her shoulders shake convincingly. I can't believe you'd do this to me, she sobs. My credit will be ruined. You had choices, Lydia. You chose to take my car after I explicitly said no. You chose to crash it. You chose to post photos laughing about it. No. Mom moves to comfort Lydia, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Blair, be reasonable. You can call the insurance company and tell them you've changed your mind. Actually, I can't. Once the subrogation process starts, it's out of my hands. This is only partially true, but they don't need to know that. Dad stands up now, looming over the table. You've always been jealous of your sister, always competing for attention. Is that what this is about? Getting back at her? The accusation stings, but not as much as it once would have. This is about consequences, Dad, nothing more. My phone rings. Calvin's name flashes on the screen. Perfect timing. I need to take this, I say, stepping away from the table. We're in the middle of dinner. Mom protests. I answer anyway, walking into the kitchen. Calvin, hello. His voice carries through the phone. Just wanted to update you. We've officially filed the claim against your sister. If she doesn't respond within 30 days, it goes to collections. Thank you for letting me know. I make no effort to lower my voice. When I return to the dining room, 3 pairs of eyes fix on me with varying degrees of hostility. That was my insurance agent, I explain unnecessarily. The claim is officially filed. Dad's face reddens. What have you done? I smile, not unkindly. Exactly what you taught me, Dad. I'm taking responsibility for my life and my choices. I suggest Lydia start doing the same. I grab my purse and head for the door, ignoring the eruption of voices behind me. In the driveway, I take a deep breath of the cool evening air. My phone buzzes with a text from Rachel. How'd it go? Need backup? On my way home, I'll call you. You won't believe what just happened. As I drive away, I glimpse my parents' house in the rearview mirror, growing smaller with each second. For the first time, I don't feel the gravitational pull to turn around and apologize, to smooth things over. to be the reasonable one. Instead, I feel something new, the weightlessness of setting down a burden I never should have carried in the first place. 3 weeks later, I arrive at my parents' house precisely 7 minutes early, Rachel's silver BMW gliding to a stop behind me. The familiar weight of dread settles in my stomach as I eye the collection of cars already crowding the driveway. Dad's Buick, Mom's Volvo, Aunt Patricia's ancient station wagon. The family tribunal has assembled. "Remember," Rachel says, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear, "you don't have to stay if it gets uncomfortable." I nod, gripping my leather portfolio tighter. "Thanks for coming." The small voice recorder feels heavy in my pocket as we approach the front door. Mom answers before I knock, her smile tight and rehearsed. "Blair, honey." Her gaze slides to Rachel, confusion flickering across her face. "I didn't realize you were bringing a guest." "This is Rachel," I say, stepping inside without waiting for permission. "She's here as my support." The living room falls silent as we enter. Dad rises from his recliner, eyebrows furrowed. Uncle Frank and Aunt Patricia sit rigidly on the sofa, their expressions a matching set of disapproval. The dining table gleams with Mom's best china and silverware, a manipulation tactic as transparent as cellophane. "What's this about?" Dad gestures toward Rachel. I place the recorder in the center of the coffee table, its red light blinking steadily. "For my protection." The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. "Protection?" Mom's voice rises. "From your family?" "Yes," I answer simply, taking a seat across from them. Rachel settles beside me, her presence solid and reassuring. The front door opens, and Lydia shuffles in 30 minutes late, her eyes puffy and rimmed with red. Her usual confident swagger has vanished, replaced by slumped shoulders and a trembling lower lip. "I've been put on administrative leave," she announces without preamble, collapsing dramatically into an armchair. "They said the insurance investigation makes me a liability." Mom rushes to her side, stroking her hair. Dad's jaw clenches as he glares at me. "I hope you're satisfied," he growls. The old Blair would have crumbled, apologized, fixed everything. The new Blair simply leans forward. "Lydia, can we talk about what happened with my car?" "What's there to talk about?" She sniffs. "You're destroying my life over a stupid accident." "Was it an accident when you took my keys after I said no?" The room goes still. Lydia's gaze flicks to the recorder, then back to me. "You're recording this? Seriously?" "Answer the question, please." Lydia looks to our parents for rescue, but I press on. "Did I give you permission to drive my car?" "No," she mutters. "Louder, please. For the record." Her eyes narrow. "No, okay? I knew you said no, but you always say no. You're so uptight about your precious things." "So you deliberately took my car without permission." "That's enough," Dad interrupts, reaching beneath the coffee table. He produces a manila folder and slaps it onto the surface. "We've prepared a solution." He slides a document toward me, a settlement agreement, Lydia's messy signature already scrawled at the bottom. $5,000. He explains, tapping the paper. "She'll pay you $5,000 for the deductible. You drop the insurance claim, and we put this whole ugly business behind us." I scan the densely printed pages, anger coiling tighter in my chest with each paragraph. The waiver of liability jumps out immediately, a complete release of all claims against Lydia. "This isn't nearly enough," Rachel murmurs beside me. Mom leans forward, her voice honey-sweet but eyes hard as flint. "We raised you better than this, Blair. Family doesn't do this to family." Aunt Patricia joins in, her voice quavering with practiced emotion. "After all we've done for you. Remember who drove you to piano lessons every Tuesday for 8 years? Who sat with you in the emergency room when you broke your ankle?" Uncle Frank clears his throat. "Your mother thinks you might be having some 6 mental health issues. This fixation on punishing your sister isn't healthy." I close the folder slowly, my pulse steady despite the flames licking through my veins. "I appreciate the offer, but I'll have to decline." "Decline?" Dad sputters. "The insurance company has already started proceedings. It's out of my hands now." "That's nonsense," Dad snaps. "You can stop this anytime." "Actually, she can't," Rachel interjects, her professional tone cutting through the tension. "Once subrogation begins, the insurance company pursues the claim independently. It's their money now, not Blair's. Dad's face reddens. If you go through with this, I'll cut you out of the will. Is that what you want? The threat dangles between us, the ultimate parental weapon. I meet his gaze steadily. That's your right, just as this is mine. Lydia suddenly lurches to her feet, mascara streaming down her cheeks. They're garnishing my wages. Do you understand? I can't afford my apartment. Fix this, Mom demands, jabbing a finger at me. Call them tomorrow and make it stop. The process takes months, I explain, maintaining my calm while Lydia's tears flow faster. The insurance company sends multiple notices before taking action. You've always been jealous of your sister, Mom hisses. Always competing for attention. Rachel shifts forward. Mrs. Mendoza, wage garnishment requires a court order. If Lydia has reached that stage, she's ignored numerous legal notices. This isn't Blair's doing, it's the consequence of Lydia's actions and her failure to respond. A stunned silence falls over the room as my family exchanges glances, the realization dawning that I came prepared for their manipulations. My phone buzzes. Calvin's name flashes on the screen. I need to take this, I say, rising from the sofa. Rachel follows, gathering her purse. In the kitchen, Calvin's voice is brisk and professional. Lydia hasn't responded to any of our letters. The collections process is beginning, and her credit will be affected starting next week. Thank you for letting me know. Mom appears in the doorway, eyes blazing. Who is that? The insurance man? Give me the phone. I step back. We're leaving now. Blair Elizabeth Mendoza, don't you dare walk out that door. But I do. Rachel closed behind me. In her car, with the doors locked and my parents' house shrinking in the rearview mirror, I finally exhale. You did well in there, Rachel says, navigating onto the main road. My phone lights up with messages, co-workers in a group chat, planning a weekend trip to the mountains, a note from my neighbor that simply reads, standing up to family is hardest. Proud of you. 2 days later, Lydia storms into my workplace, her voice echoing through the quiet accounting department. Where is she? Where's my sister? Security escorts her out as my colleagues watch in stunned silence. Within hours, Dad calls my boss demanding intervention. Mr. Patterson summons me to his office, but not for the reason I fear. Family disputes stay outside these walls, he says firmly. Your work is exemplary. That's all that matters here. By Friday, 3 women from Mom's prayer group have reached out directly, asking for coffee. We'd like to hear your side. One text reads, Marian hasn't been telling the full story, has she? The final crack appears when Lydia calls, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. Dad says I have to fix this myself. She sniffles. He says he can't bail me out anymore. From Mom's friend Beverly, who runs the salon where Mom gets her weekly highlights, I learn that my parents are fighting about how they've handled the situation. Marian admitted something I never thought I'd hear, Beverly whispers over the phone. She said maybe they did spoil her too much. Maybe you had a point all along. I hang up and stare at my reflection in the window, surprised to find that my shoulders no longer curve inward. For the first time in 30 years, I'm standing straight. The pounding at my door comes at 10:38 p.m. on Monday. 3 sharp raps, a pause, then 3 more, insistent but measured, like someone trying to balance urgency with restraint. Through the peephole, I spot Lydia huddled against my doorframe, her mascara smudged in artful rivulets down her cheeks. I inhale deeply, counting to 5, before exhaling. The butterflies in my stomach feel more like hornets now. Blair, please, I know you're home. Her voice cracks on the last word. Against my better judgment, I open the door but leave the security chain engaged a physical boundary between us. Lydia looks different. Her usually perfect hair hangs limply around her face. Her eyes, puffy from crying, widen at the sight of me. Under her arm, she clutches a weathered photo album I recognize from our childhood home. Can I come in, please? She glances nervously down the hallway. I've been sleeping in my car. I didn't know where else to go. The declaration hangs between us, designed to wield maximum impact. The old Blair would have unhooked the chain immediately. Why are you here, Lydia? She holds up the photo album. I found this at Mom and Dad's. Remember when we were kids? Before all this car stuff came between us? Inside the album, I know what I'll find: snapshots of 2 sisters in matching dresses, Lydia's arm perpetually slung around my shoulders, my smile always a beat behind hers. the evidence of a bond that exists more in family mythology than reality. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Mother, right on cue. I decline the call, but a text immediately follows. She's your sister. She's sleeping in her car. At least talk to her. The choreography of it strikes me as almost impressive. Can I please come in? Lydia asks again. I close the door, remove the chain, and step back. She enters, immediately claiming my couch-like territory, the photo album spread open on my coffee table. Remember this? She points to a faded Polaroid us at Yellowstone, matching braids, gap-toothed smiles. We were so close then. My phone buzzes again. This time, Father's name appears on the screen. Dad too? I ask, declining his call. Lydia shrugs, suddenly interested in a loose thread on my throw pillow. They're worried about you. About me? About what's happened to you. Father Michaels called me yesterday. He thinks you should come to reconciliation. He says forgiveness is divine. The mention of our family priest sends a fresh surge of heat through my chest. You got the church involved? Lydia wipes away a tear that appears with suspicious timing. Cousin David is organizing some kind of intervention for your hardened heart. My hardened heart, I repeat flatly. Mom's blood pressure is through the roof from all this stress. She looks up, eyes swimming. She had to increase her medication. I walk to my kitchen, fill a glass with water, and take measured sips while staring at the dark window. Outside, Denver's lights blur against the glass. Inside, I feel the weight of 30 years of conditioning pressing against my ribs. My phone lights up with a notification. A new video from Lydia's social media account, posted 40 minutes ago. When family abandonment leaves you homeless. My story. I turn, glass still in hand. You posted about this 40 minutes ago. Lydia's face flashes with confusion before she recovers. I'm just trying to process everything. From my bedroom, I retrieve an old birthday card I'd found while unpacking. The front shows 2 cartoon bears hugging, and inside, in Lydia's looping handwriting, sisters forever, no matter what. Love always, Lydia. I stare at it, feeling the familiar pull of doubt. My fingers trace the words, remembering how I'd treasured this card, proof that beneath it all, we shared something real. For a dangerous moment, I consider calling Calvin to ask about withdrawing the claim. My hand actually reaches for the phone. I can't keep doing this, Lydia whispers, her voice small. The calls from collection agencies, the letters. My credit is ruined. Something in her tone doesn't match her words, a flatness beneath the performance. I open my laptop and navigate to her social media profile. There, posted 3 days ago, photos of Lydia at a rooftop bar, cocktail in hand, laughing with friends. The location tag shows a luxury hotel downtown. This doesn't look like someone living in their car, I say, turning the screen toward her. She barely glances at it. That was before everything fell apart. The timestamp says Sunday. Lydia's mouth opens, closes, opens again. My phone buzzes with a text from Rachel. Ran into your mom at the spa yesterday. She said she was treating Lydia to a stress relief day. Thought you should know. I show Lydia the message. Mom took you to the spa yesterday. Her face hardens, the vulnerability act dropping like a discarded costume. So what? I deserve some relief after what you've put me through. I call Calvin, maintaining eye contact with Lydia as it rings. Blair, he answers. Everything okay? Has Lydia made any payment arrangements yet? A pause. No, we've sent 3 notices. Next step is formal collections. Thank you. I hang up. Lydia stands, the photo album forgotten. You're really going through with this? Over a stupid car? I walk to my front door and open it. It was never about the car. You can't do this. I'm family. That's exactly why I have to. The next morning, a certified letter arrives, final notice before collections begins. The same day, my insurance settlement deposits into my account. Enough for another new car, with some left over. Instead, I drive to a used car lot and purchase a 3-year-old Honda Accord in dark green. Practical, reliable, paid in full. With the remainder, I open an investment account, my first. In the Honda's fresh interior, I compose a text to Lydia. I've moved on. The insurance company hasn't. A week later, Calvin calls. Just updating you on the claim. The investigation is complete. Officially ruled unauthorized use. Collections has begun. Will it affect her credit? I ask, surprised to find I still care about the answer. Yes, substantially. He pauses. Most family members cave before this point. You stood your ground. Thank you for telling me. That afternoon, Lydia's boss calls me. Miss Mendoza? I'm Robert Prescott, Lydia's supervisor. We've terminated her employment following our internal investigation. I massage my temples. I understand. The ripples spread outward. Aunt Joyce calls to apologize. I didn't know the whole story. Dad's golfing buddies stop asking about me. Mom tells her bridge club it was a misunderstanding. The pressure dissipates, molecule by molecule, until 3 weeks later, when Lydia appears at my door one final time. Sober now. No tears. Just resignation in the slump of her shoulders. I can't pay this, she says simply. They'll garnish my wages for years. I lean against my doorframe, neither inviting her in nor sending her away. That's what happens when we make choices. Her eyes, so like my own, search my face. Can't you forgive me? We're family? The question hangs between us, heavy with implications. For a moment, I see us clearly, two women shaped by the same broken system, standing on opposite sides of a divide neither of us created. I forgive you, I say, meaning it. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. I close the door gently, the soft click of the latch more final than any slam could ever be. I ease my Honda over the winding mountain road, windows down to catch the crisp Colorado air. 6 months since that final confrontation with Lydia, and the knot that lived between my shoulder blades for 30 years has finally unraveled. The radio plays an Eagles song Mom used to hum while cooking Sunday dinner. For once, the memory doesn't sting. It simply exists, like a photograph of someone I used to know. My new apartment costs less than I can afford, a deliberate choice. The extra cushion in my savings account grows each month, a silent guardian against future storms. My promotion came through last week. Acknowledgement of the focused energy I've poured into work since disentangling from family drama. My phone buzzes on the passenger seat. Cousin Tanya's name flashes on the screen. Your parents are asking if you're coming to the wedding, she says after pleasantries. Her voice carries that familiar family undertone, the one that suggests I should feel guilty for something. I've sent my gift, I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. I wish Greg and Michelle well. The silence stretches between us, but I don't rush to fill it. That's the old Blair, the one who couldn't bear uncomfortable pauses. Lydia's still complaining about the payments, Tanya finally offers, fishing for reaction. I tap my finger against the steering wheel. That was her choice, not mine. The conversation ends soon after. No guilt follows, no second guessing. Just the road ahead, and mountains painted gold by late afternoon Sunday. Back home, I wash my car in the driveway, admiring how the modest sedan gleams under soapy water. Mrs. Fitzgerald from next door pauses while walking her terrier. That's a modest car for a successful accountant, she observes, not unkindly. I run my hand over the hood, the same gesture I once used with my Subaru, but the feeling couldn't be more different. This car comes without strings or guilt, I tell her, smiling. That makes it priceless. Later, curled on my balcony with tea and the journal my therapist suggested, I write words I couldn't have imagined 6 months ago. I confused forgiveness with enabling. For years I thought peace meant silence. Now I know my worth isn't measured by what I'll tolerate. Setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. The pages fill with milestones from my healing journey. Weekly therapy sessions unraveling family patterns. New friends who don't test boundaries to see how much I'll take. My first Thanksgiving spent with Rachel's family, where disagreements happened without catastrophe. The night I slept 8 hours straight without waking to anxiety. At work, Jennifer from payroll stops by my desk with coffee. Can I ask you something personal? She whispers. When I nod, she continues, my sister keeps asking for money. She never pays it back, but makes me feel terrible when I say no. I recognize the hunched shoulders, the lowered voice like looking in a mirror from last year. I went through something similar. I offer without pushing, but they're family. I should help, right? Her eyes plead for the answer she wants, not the one she needs. Help doesn't mean harm yourself, I say gently. There's a difference between supporting someone and enabling them. A month later, Jennifer brings me chocolate. I told her no, she says, standing taller than before. She didn't speak to me for a week, but called yesterday asking how I was. First time she's asked that in years. When the letter arrives from my parents' new address, they sold the family home, I don't feel the usual dread. Inside, they request reconciliation on their terms. Phrases like water under the bridge and family comes first pepper the carefully written paragraphs. I compose a measured response about mutual respect and boundaries, but place it in my desk drawer. I may send it someday. I may not. The urgency has dissolved. That evening, I drive to a mountain overlook as sunset paints the sky in shades of amber and rose. Stepping from the car, I breathe deeply, shoulders relaxed, spine straight. For years, I thought forgiveness kept families together. But sometimes, peace doesn't come from staying quiet. It comes from standing up for yourself. Some people only grow when you stop protecting them from consequences. The breeze carries away the last of my doubt. The view stretches endlessly before me, much like the life I'm finally free to live.